saying that Project Jupiter is a long-term partnership with Donana County. This is not a short-term transaction. Oracle is making commitment to be here in the county for decades. And we understand that this commitment should be matched with accountability, with transparency, ongoing communication, which is why I'm personally here with you today. And for people who don't know, Oracle is a publicly traded company that has been in the industry for over 5 decades and building clouds and data centers for over 10 years. We know what it means to be a good neighbor. That includes 4 things: creating good paying jobs, investing and creating economic benefit for the community that we're part of, protecting the natural resources, land, water, and air, and using them very carefully, and empowering future generations. And so we're excited to share how Oracle and Project Jupiter are going to be a good neighbor today. And I thought a lot about the best way to introduce the project, and I thought it may be better heard through a story of a union worker that's actually at the site and how it has changed their lives.
Vice Chair Gomez.
There was an email sent to us. Maybe it's just my commission. There was an email sent to us by Denise Carter to the commissioners yesterday. So
That's the presentation?
yes, correct.
Okay.
We do have that.
As a pipe fitter, been working there for going on 7 months, I believe. I missed a lot of birthdays, a lot of anniversaries. 20 years I've been traveling a lot, and not less than 12 hours away from the house. So this became a good opportunity for me to be here at my hometown with the family, waking up with my wife every day, being with the kids, the grandkids. We start at 6 o'clock and then we finish at 4:30. So 10 hours every day. We work 60 hours a week. I'm grateful for Project Jupiter because it's given me a good opportunity to be here, as well as my friends and my family that they get to see me every day. And I'm grateful for that. I'm so happy.
And this is just one story among many hundreds and possibly 1,000+ stories that is probably going to come true as this project comes alive. A quick brief on Project Jupiter. Project Jupiter is one of the largest private investments in New Mexico's history. We're building digital infrastructure right here in New Mexico that supports AI technology. As an engineer, as an executive, as a husband, and as a human, I've not been more personally excited about this technology and what this could do for humanity. Project Jupiter could very well be the location where cancer or Alzheimer's can get cured. New Mexico has a storied history of being at the cutting edge of the next wave of innovation. Project Jupiter will very much be one of those investments that the New Mexican historians could potentially talk about in the future. And we're creating opportunities right here in Donana County through new investment and long-term growth. Oracle's committed to building this responsibility, protecting our natural resources, recognizing the local environment, which includes our updated designs for power.
Please, if we can watch the disturbance from the crowd, please. Thank you.
All right. Today, we're officially talking and sharing a lot of the details around the economic benefits that could be, that'll be possible by building Project Jupiter here in New Mexico. The total estimated economic benefit for New Mexico is $4.7 billion in taxes, investments, and economic activity over the life of the project. During construction, which is about a 3-year period, this will generate approximately $600 million in gross tax receipts and about $1.15 billion in related economic activity. During the ongoing operations of the site for multiple years, the project is going to generate approximately $680 million in gross receipts sales tax and approximately $1.92 billion in economic activity over 17 years. The IRB structure includes $360 million for school and infrastructure over 30 years, and the community benefits agreement adds an additional $6.9 million for workforce development. Put it all together, this is a $5 billion in economic impact for New Mexico, and this is what we want to be able to build here and be a good neighbor. And I want to dive a little deeper and talk about not just numbers that are possible, what's actually happening in the county today. And that is approximately, since the project has started and construction work activity has started, $10 million of taxes have been paid to Doña Ana County. We had made a commitment for about $50 million in investment for improving the water infrastructure for Doña Ana County. And today, I can report that over 80% of that is already funded, enabling the county to actually drive the water infrastructure improvements. These are tangible benefits that is already flowing into the county today and not just promised for the future. And, it is very understandable, and I appreciate this a lot, when there are a lot of data centers out there and there's a lot of misinformation out there. We spend a ton of time explicitly talking about building data centers responsibly. So I'm going to take a moment to talk about what does that mean. Project Jupiter is designed to protect the environment and the natural resource that is part of, be it the land, the water, and the air. And we have a proven track record of listening to the community, where we completely changed our power design to naturally have lower emissions, to address the feedback from the community. We are going to not use any public drinking water for cooling or power generation. No potable water. And the project is powered off self-sufficient fuel cells designed to protect the consumers and ensure that it's off-grid and does not affect the ratepayers. Put simply, this data center is being built different, built responsibly, built for New Mexico. Now, I'm going to hand off to our partner, Bobby Hillis.
Thank you, Mahesh. Wow, next slide. This is to focus on really what STAC is doing at the site right now. And there is a lot of activity taking place. If you've driven by the site, you will see so much construction activity occurring right now. And a lot of that is really what Mahesh is talking about. And very similar to what he mentioned is the focus on how we can be good stewards of the community, both from the employment side and also from the water side. So when we look at construction, as anyone that knows, in this particular region, there is a need for construction water. So we are always making sure that that construction water is being used in the most economic and also most conservative way that we possibly can. If you look at the chart on the right, you can see that we're actually tracking below where we initially expected. And as the jobs climb, we actually think that we will have lower water use because the site is being more stood up. So one of the things that is first and foremost is making sure that the health of the community and the employees is foremost. That's really what the water is being used for during this construction period.
All right. I think there was a question, and I want to first talk a little bit about, because water is precious in New Mexico, and we care a lot about it. I want to start by differentiating potable water and non-potable water. Potable water means water that is ready for human consumption. Non-potable water, for example, like brackish water, that is in New Mexico, that actually carries a lot of minerals and is dirty, that could be used for other industrial or purposes. Second, I want to talk about water use in 3 dimensions. First, what Bobby talked about, which is really about the water that is used during the process of construction, just like how you would go through an apartment building construction. Second, when you are operating the data center for 10, 15, 17, 20 years, ongoing water use for that. That's a second way in which water could be used. And then there's a third, which is around it is going to house 1,500 plus people on the site. So it's like an office building, just like this county office, where you would need water for restrooms, for people to actually go drink. So those are the 3 different kinds of water consumption. So what Bobby talked about was one. I'm now, in this slide, going to talk about the ongoing water strategy for operating the site for 50 years. And it starts with using zero or no potable drinking water. Zero. I want to repeat, no potable public drinking water will be used at this data center to run or operate. Second, it is going to have a one-time fill, just like how you have a car. A car has a radiator. You would fill the radiator with water. You do not go to a technician or a mechanic to fill water in your car every week. That would be a terrible car. Just like that, we think a data center where you need to go pour water in it is a terrible data center. We do not build them. This requires a one-time fill that you would put inside the data center, and it would continuously be operated using a closed-loop liquid cooling system. And we've gotten a lot of questions about, what is this technology? How is this possible? The good news is, there is an 800 megawatt data center that I have not built too far away from here in Abilene, Texas, that is live and online with this piece of technology. This is not new. This is something that we are today using, building, operating computers with. And lastly, the ongoing maintenance and operation for this data center, because a particular fuel cell can actually be faulty and you need to replace it and you need to put some water. And the average consumption for keeping them doing the maintenance activities on our data center or our power plant, you calculate it annually, is less than 9 single-family homes worth of water. Just to give you context about driving $4.7 billion of economic value to an entire state and community, and driving thousands of union jobs and 1,500 full-time jobs, consumes during its operations less than 9 single-family household needs of water. And people have asked me, where does this water come from? The water that is used, even for the one-time fill, is from a sod farm. It's an existing well, and that's exactly the water that we're using. Just to close the loop, no public drinking water, only non-potable water, and a one-time fill with a technology that is already proven at this scale that is going to be at Project Jupiter. And that's what we're bringing, and that's what responsible data centers looks like. And that's what New Mexico deserves. And another way that I wanted to articulate the use of water is to say, Mahesh, you talked about all of these different kinds of water. Put it all together, explain it to me, and compare it to any other standard things that people understand. So when you take all of the different kinds of water that I talked about for construction, for operations, and put it all together, and you see, let's annually understand what is the water usage for this Project Jupiter relative to an airport, a baseball stadium, a fast food restaurant, you can see where Project Jupiter lands. And this is, once again, non-potable water. This is not drinking water. Okay?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Please proceed.
Okay. And so on the emission side, right, when we originally submitted the project, right, the project had a plan to use gas turbines. And we heard and we have shown that we are listening to the community feedback. We completely changed our entire design to use fuel cells. And fuel cells are fundamentally a technology, just to kind of give you an idea. There's methods in which you can generate electricity or electrons, and turbines use a combustion process, and fuel cells have zero combustion. What that means is that when there is nothing to move and there's no combustion, it's very quieter. You can stand in front of a fuel cell about 10 feet away, and the noise would be as simple as having a human conversation, a normal conversation. Fuel cells are a cleaner way of generating electrons, number one. Self-generates its own water, which is why it needs a one-time fill. Third, it's very quiet. That's what we're talking about with the newer technology that we've selected to hear the community feedback and address it. And the newer design also uses emits 92% less NOx and approximately 21 to 40% lesser CO2. And once again, this is addressing the community feedback that you've all given us. And we know this is a partnership, and we're going to continue to listen. Okay, I think this is the first time we're coming out and talking about our carbon matching strategy. And I wanted it to be here. I wanted it to be in front of the commissioners. I wanted it to be in front of all of the New Mexicans here. Oracle is committing to doing 100% carbon-free energy matching by 2031, which is well ahead of the goals that meets the requirements for the New Mexico's Energy Transition Act. And the good news is Oracle, as is a public company that's been around for 5 decades, we have our own sustainability goals that where we have declared that we're going to match this by 2035. But for New Mexico and for Project Jupiter, we're committing to do that faster. We're committing to do that about 4 years ahead. And that's how being a good neighbor and a responsible data center builder looks like. And that's what we're committing to, Don Ana County. Okay, I'm going to give.
So sustainability, as you heard it, we recognize the importance of everything when we think about the resources that we're borrowing from the community and that we're using in the community. But equally important are the people that make up this community. And this is where we really want to highlight what we think is the major impact that is happening right now. And this is the one about the people that are actually, as we saw in the testimonial earlier, working at this site. We are closing in on 3,000 employees at peak at the site. That's going to be growing even more over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So the opportunity really is there for all of Doña Ana County. How can we bring in the people? We've done a lot of outreach, and we will continue to do even more of that, looking at the different populations, veterans and others that we can bring into the site, opportunities really that should be made to the residents of Doña Ana County and the communities nearby. So the effort that you see here is just the start. We're already over 2 million hours worked at this site, and that is just the very beginning. It only started at the end of last year. So tremendous opportunity for the people in this community to participate, and we will continue the outreach to bring more and more people in over time. We're already closing in on almost 300 residents of Doña Ana County that are at the site. We want to see that get even higher and higher and faster.
Thanks, Bobby. And being a good neighbor and talking about that economic benefit is actually starting to show value. And I can very proudly say, as Bobby talked about, there's very close to 300 Doña Ana County residents at the site with a job working at the project today. We're also happy to report that there is close to 700 New Mexicans that are hired and working at the site today. Another update that we're giving you today is we've been talking about the construction jobs being 4,500. Today, we're actually updating that number to 7,000 as the full power plant engineering project details are closed. So we have a full design, we have a full construction plan, and it is going to be up to 7,000 jobs at peak at the site. And we continue to hold the fact that there are 1,500 jobs that is required for ongoing operations and support. And the good news about that number is that I operate a data center that is as similar and big, not too far from here in Abilene, Texas. So I'm very confident about that number. And I think, as I said, being a good neighbor takes on beyond just delivering economic value. We have a philanthropic arm that actually does good, actually participates in the community, because this is where thousands of New Mexicans are going to be hired. We're going to be employees of Oracle. We're going to be employees in my organization. So we want to create an environment and a community that they can actually be excited about. And so we've partnered with the Well Down Foundation to cap orphaned oil and gas wells in New Mexico to reduce methane emissions. Plugging just one of these states' orphaned wells can cut methane emissions equivalent to removing 3,000 gas-powered cars from New Mexico's roads and highways each year. And so there are many ways in which Oracle is partnering to contributing to actually have a cleaner water and an air environment. We've also been working with Casa de Peregrinos, which is a pillar of the community and provides food for families in need. We've sponsored 2 food drives so far that has provided over 180,000 pounds of food to more than 900 families. Our teams participated in these events. Our teams volunteered at these events. And this is just Oracle getting started of being a good neighbor in the community. In summary, being a good neighbor starts with doing 4 things. It's creating good paying jobs. It's investing and participating in the community and delivering the economic benefit, in this case about $4.7 billion of the duration of the project. Protecting the natural resources, using the land, water, air, and being exceptionally clear and careful about how we participate in the community. And lastly, empowering the future generation. This project could very well be what New Mexican historians talk about. Because when I go around and talk, to all of the New Mexicans here as I engage, everybody talks about the space project. Everybody talks about another project that New Mexico has done. There's a storied history, but we could be in the middle of one, but it requires stepping back, looking at what could a $5 billion economic activity project could do to the state, to southern New Mexico. And today I stand in front of you, making a commitment to work hard every day, every hour, to earn your trust, to listen, to be transparent, to empower the community, and build a relationship with the county that can last for generations. And so thank you for inviting us to present to the board today, and we're super excited to be your neighbor.
Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you, Bobby. Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Sandro Hernandez?
I do have a question, mostly because I don't know what carbon-free matching is. I saw that as a term in your presentation.
Yeah, very happy to explain that. The question was around carbon-free matching. So what we want to do, and this is why we're actually going to be working on, getting the project details. The idea is to select renewable energy and solar projects right here in New Mexico that we will fund, that will be added and contributed to the grid, that ensures that relevant new renewable energy is actually available on the grid to match the carbons that are emitting, right? So we're going to offset the carbon that this project emits in this year.
Okay, so the way that I'm understanding that then is it will not be powering the data center campus necessarily. It will just be offsetting use in the state of New Mexico somewhere.
Yes, it'll be available in the grid, right, in the electricity grid at New Mexico, but the project will be generating renewable energy, solar, and a bunch of other mixed different technologies, and equal to what we're building here. So that would be what we would put back on the grid as renewable energy.
So doing that, there is no reduction in emissions from the site itself. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. We're going to match, and then potentially, depending on how the grid, upgrades and others, right? We're continuing to work with El Paso Electric to look at opportunities where we can, as part of our commitment to the 2045 Energy Transition Act, right? If there are opportunities to use that power directly and it's available to power the data center, we're very happy to do it. But such a plan doesn't exist today.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandro Hernandez. Commissioner Chaparro?
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us today. As you can see, we have very passionate people in this room on one side or the other. Commissioner Gameros was right. We did receive your presentation from our Economic Development Director at 10:39 p.m. And I didn't have an opportunity to read it, but thank you, Deputy Assistant Manager Lucio, for getting this presentation to me. And so I feel I'm a little behind. I didn't have an opportunity to read it this morning. So you mentioned you had 300 residents. Pardon me, that was my computer. You mentioned you had 300 residents employed on site. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that's only based on self-identification data. So as we get closer to the reporting obligations and sort of what we're looking at, we are getting more precision. So we do know that's probably higher, but that was based on the self-reporting data that we had about a month ago.
May I encourage you to ask the workers where they're coming from so that we can get more accurate numbers if indeed Doñana residents are being hired. I know during public comment, we had people from Albuquerque, from Juarez, and I'm assuming the ones from Juarez may not be working here. So you also mentioned you had 2,755 workers. Where are the majority of those workers coming from?
We're still gathering that data, so we'll gather that data and get that to you. But right now, we know that there's a significant portion, as Mahesh mentioned, that are from New Mexico, from other parts of New Mexico. So over 700 are New Mexicans. So the rest are from all over the country, but probably from the greater metro area.
All right, so just following up on that, what part of the country are they coming from, or what countries are they coming from?
We're not certain. We'll get that data and get back to you on that.
All right, so when can I expect that information, sir?
Yes, and we also are doubling down on our efforts. As I mentioned, we have a hiring fair coming up in the next week because our goal is to have more employees from Doña Ana County and prioritizing that hiring effort.
And I appreciate that because that would be my expectation as well. And I'm sure the expectation of the commissioners on the dais that our community be hired in your facility. That's one of the most important things for me, that the people from Doñana be first and foremost prioritized, then New Mexico, then other parts of the country, then other parts of the nation. I'm sure you have other employees from other countries, as I've been told. I would love to see your plant in Abilene, so
I would love for you guys to come.
great.
Let's arrange that.
May we
I'm
arrange
so
that?
excited.
I'm looking at August 14th.
Let's do it. I'm going to be there.
Commissioners, anybody like to join me? We don't make a quorum, but I know I spoke to Commissioner Kimball, and I don't know if you're available, Commissioner, on that date. Okay.
No, we would love that. One other thing that I do want to add about the jobs is that when we talk about creating good paying jobs, there's two different sides of the story. One is like, hey, the county and the people are already capable of doing the job. And so what we do is we actually go out and look for them. The second thing is actually training them, right? Because part of actually transforming the community doesn't stop at just asking them to like go get trained somewhere else. So one of the things that, Commissioner Chaparro, that we're doing, which we've done very well and in Abilene, Texas, with the local universities, is we're partnering with the local schools, we're partnering with the local universities, and what we want to be able to do is to create pathways and create 12-week programs, create 6-month programs that would transform a lot of the kids from high school to say, how could you be a technician at our data center? And we were very successful at that in Abilene already, in the Abilene Christian University. So part of what we want to do here in New Mexico and in Doñana County is to just replicate the models in which it's actually worked. So there's two parts of the story. We're going to report this information, but you should also take a commitment from us that we're going to work with the high schools and the universities, train them to be working at our facility. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Maybe you can train me on AI because I'm not as technical as other people. I have another question regarding fuel cells. I'm not quite understanding how they work. I've spoken to one of your representatives, and I also went to a national conference 2 weeks ago, and I probably gained more information at that conference than I have in the last 11 months. One of the questions that I'm asking is, I know they have some sort of life. I don't know if it's 2 years or 5 years, I was told. And I was told this at the conference by one of the Oracle representatives, and I can't remember his name right now. But where will you be disposing of them after they're utilized? Will they be in New Mexico?
It would be through a very standard hazardous handling process, Commissioner. At this point, because we haven't built anything, we haven't built a plan to decommission them. So once we actually have a plan and we actually build them, it'll be through the standard hazardous material disposing processes that we're going to follow for the EPA standard. So my expectation is it's not going to be New Mexico, but as I said, we haven't commissioned it, so I don't know when and how to decommission it.
I'll remember you said that, sir. Let me see what other questions I have. Trying to write very quickly. And I appreciate that you are mentioning that you're working hard to be transparent to this community.
That's right.
And I also encourage you to have more town hall meetings, not just job fairs, but to have answers to our community. This is something that at least I've been asking for, and my community and my constituents have been asking for 11 months. So thank you for being here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can take that as a commitment from me, Commissioner Chaparro, that we will create, per your guidance, any amount of town halls that will make it easy for the constituents to come ask the question.
But you're not going to switch it at the last minute, are you?
I never did.
Okay.
The good news is we made a commitment and we're here. So I will continue to be here.
And again, it's not my intent to be disrespectful, but I have had hundreds of calls from constituents and residents, and specifically in the southern part of the state, southern part of Doña Ana County, because they're the ones that are going to be most affected. They're the ones that have been living there for decades. They will be living in homes around your project. They're very poor and they can't move. And they deserve the answers. They need to know what kind of air quality to expect, what kind of noise quality to expect, what kind of water usage to expect. We know we've had problems with CRUA, and so
Absolutely.
being transparent.
100%. Yeah. I'll make a couple of.
This community deserves.
Absolutely. A couple of points that I'll add. Actually, Rep Silva invited me to visit Chaparral and the schools. So that's actually being planned in the August timeframe. So I'm actually visiting some of the local schools and actually talking to them about it. So that's a visit that's already planned. To your point about actually being part of the community and listening. So we're going to continue to take the feedback and address and listen and go visit these communities. So definitely we'll follow up. Yep.
All right. I believe that's all the questions besides the non-potable water. I understand you're obtaining your water from a sod farm, but the sod farm is obtaining the water from the same aquifer or the same well that is being utilized by CRUA and Sunland Park. Is that correct?
It is actually used for the sod farm. There is some explicit water treatment that we do before we can actually use it. But the short answer is, yes, it's from the same well.
And but that water needs to be treated for any use because of the mineral content, arsenic, et cetera. So when we say non-drinking water, all the water in that area, probably in the southern part of the state, needs to be treated for any use. So to me, when you say potable water and non-potable water, all of it is non-potable until it's treated.
And I think that's a very fair question, and I think it is right. It depends on the levels of treatment, number one, right? So how much do you need to treat it to get to the drinking water level? What does it cost? And what happens to, how do you treat, dispose of the minerals that are actually there? So there's levels, and you do that. Second, it is something that was, also, as I said, is planned for using for the sod farm. So we're actually taking advantage and seeing if there's a better opportunity that we can create. Yeah.
And last question, because I can't recall the number. How many acre feet are you utilizing from that sod farm of water?
I don't actually know the answer to the question, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't think I have any other questions, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Kimball.
I'd like to know why we haven't gotten reports. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it as well. I see you brought many, many people and security. Why haven't we gotten the reports that we've requested? We are supposed to get quarterly reports on employment. We haven't seen one report. Until today, we haven't seen anything. And I'm pretty sure we don't need you to come and deliver every single employment report. We don't need to wait until you can come to deliver an employment report. So is there a reason we haven't gotten those reports?
I think that's a great question. I think
Stop.
the reports are going to be uploaded to the site per the deadline, which is around July 31st. So we're on pace and on track
We
to actually.
didn't deserve one before July? We didn't request one before July 31st?
I think, Commissioner Kimball, I think part of the issue, and I think this is part of the and I'd probably have to rely on Denise on this one. Part of the issue has been around the creation of NMEDD, creating the portal to upload all of the information into the system, because one of the things that they do is they have to, as part of their LEDA requirements, they have to upload the Social Security, some of these things that ends up being sensitive data. And so the NMEDD creates the portal to allow them to do that. They had not done that, and so that was part of the delay. Now, I think that was one of the things that we had discussed, was that I think that's finally done, and I thought it was finally those were finally submitted. Is that correct, Denise?
Correct. So there's going to be 2 statements submitting covering the first quarters. There were no reports because there were no employment or no employees hired. And as far as the construction jobs, the full-time, part-time jobs for the third quarter that's due July 31st, employee rosters are being currently completed. You will get copies of all of the documentation submitted.
Okay, Mr. Chair, but we don't need employee documentation. We just need numbers. How many employees do you have?
Correct,
We would
and
like
you-
to have known that, and we've been asked that every single meeting.
You will be,
So we don't
yes,
need-
ma'am. You will be provided with the information. It is being uploaded.
is-
We met with the companies to walk through the compliance and ask them what to submit and all of the information that you've all requested.
Seems like quite a delay. And I guess for blaming on NMED, that's what we're doing about it. But the second thing is, define long-term. What to you is long-term? This is a long-term project.
So the project duration from a data center standpoint that Oracle is actually going to be here is about 17.9 years. And stack infrastructure from a data center duration perspective is going to be at least here for 25 to 30 years.
Okay, so,
That is long-term, yeah.
Mr. Chair, what happens to the buildings and the infrastructure when you're done? Is there a reclamation plan? Or is it just that stuff becomes property of the county and we have empty buildings?
So usually, what we end up doing with buildings, these are built really good buildings. So what we end up doing is that we retrofit and we continue to use those buildings over time. We may upgrade the internal infrastructure, right? Let's say there's an electrical infrastructure or water infrastructure that we use inside the building. Those would be upgraded just like this building, right? You upgrade them, and then it actually will be continue to be used. But from a useful life perspective, right? Everybody thinks in the 18 to 30-year mark from a business standpoint, but this is going to be used for a longer time. Yeah.
But do you have an example of where you've done that? I don't believe you've been doing this long enough to have an 18-year-old project that we can see what you've done with it.
I think, data centers at this scale were a thing in the last 10 years. So I think as an industry, as a country, as humanity, we're actually marching towards this. So, something 30 years ago, we didn't have the scale of data centers, Commissioner Kimball.
Okay, so the next thing is, like Commissioner Chaparro said, what is the half-life, whatever, of a fuel cell?
A fuel cell could be, depending on the operations and maintenance of how we do them, can be anywhere from 5 to 7 years. And they will be continuously maintained and operated and replaced as, they run into any sort of failures or issues, yeah.
And when you talk about the noise, and it's a normal conversation, so let's say I'm having this normal conversation, and you're saying that's about maybe the noise, but it's 24/7. Is that true?
It's going to be, obviously the plant and the site will operate 24/7. And when I mentioned the number about the normal conversation, it's about when you're 10 feet away, right? So once again, this plot of land and where we're building it is the industrial park away, in the Sunland area, just doing our best to be inside the industrial zone. So when we talk about numbers, first when I talk about the normal conversation number, it's 10 feet. If you're 2 miles away, it'll be slightly different, right? The noise levels that we're talking about, number one. Number two, also, we're trying to build a plant in an industrial zone as well, right?
So when you say you never switched the meeting, your representatives did.
Got it.
And we didn't even know until about 2 days, maybe a week before the meeting. So when you say you never did, okay, fine.
Commissioner Kimball, I apologize for that. We'll take a follow-up and make sure that that doesn't happen
Caused a
ever.
lot of grief with all of these people because we were expecting something totally different. And I, for one, as a commissioner, wasn't wasn't included in any of that discussion. So when people come to us, I have a person emailing me on a regular basis telling me I'm a liar. I lied to her because I believed we were having a town hall meeting where people could talk. So when you say you didn't switch it, I didn't switch it either, but you don't live here. And you said as a family person and a father and all of that, you're concerned about this, but you don't live here either. And we need to consider the people that are here that are concerned about all of these things. And so I don't know how often you're going to come here, but when I went to the town hall, I got different answers on the same questions from different companies. And that was really a challenge. That was something I brought back. I asked Stack, tell me about the carbon dioxide release. Oh, Stack said there won't be any. I asked somebody from Bloom. She said, oh yeah, we're gonna release a lot. We just don't have any way to mitigate it yet. But those are the messages we're getting, and that's why people are angry, and that's why they're showing up at meetings. And again, you don't live here, and we do. We've been threatened, we've been yelled at, I haven't been abused necessarily, but it's getting close because people are angry and they're emotional. And it's as if you sweep into town and you're gonna talk to people in your very nice voice and tell everybody things are gonna be okay, but then you leave. We need more information. We need more transparency. We need to see the numbers. We need to see the work. We need to know what you're doing with the water, the air, the noise, the heat. What about the heat? I think I asked you about that. I have heard that data centers can raise the temperature in a 6-mile radius around the data center. So if you live in Sunland Park in a very low income neighborhood and you're using a swamp cooler, do you know what a swamp cooler is?
Yes.
And you're using a swamp cooler and the temperature goes up from, what was yesterday, 105 by 6 degrees, that's deadly. We need to know that that's not gonna happen or that's gonna be taken care of because the people down there are scared. And I'm not opposed to this project. I think AI is here. We can't stop AI. And I'd like to see the economic development in the community, but people are scared. And it's because we're not getting answers from y'all. I don't have answers to give them. And when I ask things, I get different answers from different people. So we need more information. We need the reports. We need to know how many employees. We need to know where they're from. So there's so many more things that we need. And I understand that where they're going to be uploaded is not ready yet, but give us hints.
First, I'm very apologetic, and I'm sorry that, that is happening. If there's anything that we can do to help, just, other than obviously, provide the facts, upload the data, give us the study on the heat. I've taken a bunch of actions. My team is listening to it. We're going to make sure that each one of those things are addressed. And I also apologize on behalf of Oracle and my team around the meetings and switching. That's an action we're going to take. We make sure that that never happens, Commissioner. And to both, Commissioner Chaparro and Kimball, we are going to make sure that we'll have those town halls, listen to the constituents, and that's a commitment from us, right? And so, and to your point about, me missing being in New Mexico, as I mentioned last time, when I came here and met a few officials, my intent is to continue to visit here. As I said, I'm going to have a very large organization of New Mexicans that's going to be here. And it's part of it is me listening to them and me hearing to them, both the community and my people, right? So this is a long-term commitment, so I'm not going anywhere.
Mr. Chair, I have one more question. If the Environment Department turns down your permit, then what?
I think, obviously, that would delay the project significantly. It delay our ability to make progress on the construction and delay the economic impact information that I presented today. If that is denied, our opportunity is to continue to work with the grid, right? Once again, Oracle took the route of building an offsite grid to protect the ratepayers and actually make the project happen faster. So if such a thing were to happen, the whole project would be delayed, the economic impact would be delayed, and we would be working with the grid to tell us when the power will be available. Because, otherwise, a data center without power is a giant warehouse. And I don't think, my investors or me or anyone here would want me to build a giant warehouse spending billions of dollars.
Right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair. I don't know if anybody else had questions, but I just, Commissioner
well,
Kimball
I
just
do
brought
have a
up some more.
follow-up on it, on the power situation, but by all
No,
means,
go ahead, Commissioner Shaljo Hernandez.
Mr. Chair, it's up to you.
Well, before you do, I don't know, Vice Chair Meadows, if you had any questions or,
Sorry, I do, but I can go ahead and wait.
okay.
So everything that's been said is, I mean, we're up here on a biweekly basis, so we definitely, what Commissioner Kimball is saying is factual. Something that I want to kind of talk about, and you just said it as well, is that you would talk to El Paso Electric about when power is available on the grid. And that